Hola, hola, amigos, amigas, bienvenidos. Welcome once again to Lima, Peru. Welcome to my home, and of course, to this series dedicated to the wonders of my country. We've been traveling to different places during these several weeks, actually. We've been together for weeks, over a month in this moment, and we will keep adding more places, more destinations also to this list dedicated to, well, different cities, foods, traditions, dances, archaeological sites, museums, and more. So, well, always a pleasure to have you here. My name is Vanessa Vasquez. I am your Lima City tour guide. I've been doing this series with the biggest pleasure and also with the only interest of showing the world what Peru homes and also what you can visit in this part of the world if you ever come here. And we are, of course, focusing in the off the beaten path sites and destinations, and of course, adding some of the already famous sites. I already talked about Cusco, including, of course, Machu Picchu and Sacred Valley in part one. We've done also Lima, we've done Ica, Arequipa, and well, now we are back to our series that we already started the 3 days ago, or 3 episodes, let's say, ago, the north coast of Peru. So we are in the last part of this series dedicated to the North Coast. And well, your questions are always welcome. We have an interactive chat if you wish to send me a question, ask me something, or also if you wish to suggest, let's say, upcoming events and activities. Well, you are always well received and here. Hola, Natalie. Hola, hola, hello here in the chat. Well, one good friend of mine. Well, and of course, it is always a pleasure to have you all accompany me in this series. So I think it is now a good time to start. And before we also go to the event, there's just one thing I would like to share with you, and I hope you can see also my screen now. Well, in my Patreon profile, I am also on Patreon, and that's really a great way to connect with people who are interested in my content. There is, of course, a possibility of a subscription to be able to access to my previously, like a live event, the events recorded already that are in this library also, that is available for subscription. There you can also, and this is an option for free, choose my upcoming events after we finish this series about Peru. There is already a list, and the list was made based on suggestions from previous events and things that took note of well, commentaries from everyone joining about, well, what are the topics most of my audience would like to hear about. So please, if you can, visit my Patreon. I'll also in a moment share on the chat the way how to access to the Patreon and to the poll, especially to make a decision about which event you would like to see in the future after we finish this series. So well, now let's stop this one here, and now we will go to, well, our event. So, as I mentioned before, our series is dedicated to explore different sites, different places in this beautiful country in Peru. Eventually, I hope that I will be able to take you to other destinations in South America in the same way I've done with my country. So, this is the say, part 5 of our series that I have also subdivided in 4. In the previous parts, we've talked about geography of the North Coast, the climate, for example, the nature of the North Coast, fauna, flora, etc. We've also talked about pre-Hispanic societies from the North Coast of Peru in a part 2. In a part 3, we talk about archaeological museums of the North Coast, and the North Coast is a proud land of, well, pre-Hispanic roots, and people from the north coast of Peru, they take big pride in their heritage, but also they are children of the conquistadors, as most Peruvians are, and we have also, well, that blend, that cultural blend that is visible everywhere in the architecture, in our food, in our traditions, in our, let's say, folkloric, let's say, clothes, folklore clothes, and more. Even the way we speak Spanish. So well, that's the I think the most visible evidence of the Spanish presence. So well, now we are going to travel to the north again to explore, well, the Spanish imprint in the north coast of Peru, and also other, let's say, like a cultural, let's say, resultings of this union, of this fusion of the, well, the Spanish, the European influences here in this part of the country, and also how the locals, well, express that fusion. So, hola, hola, ¿qué tal, Polly? Hola, querida. ¿Cómo estás? How are you? Thanks for being here. Well, I'm having some friends saying hi here on the chat. Keep in mind that, well, this is a live event. You can also participate here in the chat. And later, if you're watching this as a recorded event, well, you can also comment well, below the video. Oh, no worries, amiga. Oh, I'm so sorry you couldn't connect. I hope it's not related with YouTube. Sometimes YouTube is not very friendly with my events, but as long as you're here, I'm happy. Mhm. Oh, okay, no problem, dear. Thank you, gracias. Hola, hello, Ronnie. How are you? Thanks for being here today. So, well, I think now let's talk a bit more about, well, the north coast of Peru, and also, well, the influences from well, the west, the European influences that transform the way how the people in the north coast of Peru see themselves, and the way also, well, culturally, they can be perceived by, even not just by foreigners, also us Peruvians, because Peruvians, we have different identities. The people of the coast in the south are not the same like the people uh, of Peru, but in the jungle, for example, and even the people from the same regions. There are big variations if you're going north, center, or south. So, well, once again, and to my friends who haven't been able to catch up with this series before, this is the part four, sorry, the part 4 of our series. So, well, we are traveling to a portion of the country known as, colloquially, as the Costa Norte, or North Coast, that really englobes 4 departments. So on the map, on the left-hand side, you can see Peru divided in departments. We have 24 departments. If you are able to count them, you'll see them clearly. Also, we have some departments that are much bigger than others. The biggest one, for example, is Loreto in the jungle. So we are moving to the North Coast, parallel, of course, to the Pacific, and in between the Andes and the Pacific. And the 4 departments that I've taken in consideration for the whole series are the Department of La Libertad, the Department of Lambayeque, the Department of Piura, and the Department of Tumbes, which limits in the north with Ecuador. But in today's event, we will go into a smaller, let's say, portion of that section, let's say, chosen, because we want to keep this event, of course, in a radio of less than one hour, no? So the intention is just hitting the highlights. And for purpose of time, I've decided to concentrate most of our attention in the department of La Libertad, just for this part of the series, because in the previous part of the series, we really moved between the four departments. Okay, so look at the geography of the north coast of Peru. And well, there you can see the coast in this section widen a little bit, no? Like the territory in the coast here is bigger. Most of the coast of Peru is sort of like narrow. The coast tends to be narrow, and in some parts, the Andes get into the water directly. You see the mountains ending into the sea. So there's not coastal section. There's no flat section between the Andes and the ocean. So that you see the most from the center of the coast south until the limit, the southern limit of the coast of Peru. So in the north, we have flats, we have bigger flat territories between the Andes and the ocean. And well, that really is the main characteristic, basically, of this geography. So, well, now I would like to tell you a bit about the history of the foundation of the city of Trujillo, which is the zone, the area that I have taken as an example of the Spanish well, influence in the North Coast, as an example of how this fusion, this union of cultures, let's say, ended up at the end. The resulting was so interesting, culturally, especially, and in the architecture. And this is a painting that represents how the main square of Trujillo looked like in the colonial times. But what is Trujillo? Where is Trujillo? Trujillo is the capital of the department of La Libertad, one of the four departments that are part of this territory known as the North Coast of Peru. So this department is very important culturally talking, because it participated actively in, for example, the period of the independence from Spain. That's why the name of the department is La Libertad, or the freedom. That's what it means. But its history after the arrival of the conquistadors is very connected with the Spaniards. The Spaniards found in this part of the country a indigenous group that was very, very powerful, the Chimu culture, that was quite eager to participate side by side with the Spaniards against the Incas, in this process of achieving a conquest from the Spanish side over the Tahuantinsuyo, or the Inca Empire. And you might be wondering, how, Vanessa? How is that possible? Weren't they indigenous people? Weren't they Incas? No, they were not Incas. They were Chimus. When the Spaniards came, there were lots of different kingdoms and societies that were under the umbrella of the Incas. They were conquered. Some of them forced to join the forces of the Incas after years of war, years of battle. Some of them, of course, were more eager, like and open-hearted to embrace the Incan society. Some of them were not. Some of them were reluctant until the end, and so much that when these conquistadors came, these bearded fair-skinned men, strange men of strange ways came, they took the possibility, the first chance they had to get out of the Incan control. So the Chimu society in the north coast of Peru was one of the allies of the Spaniards, and let's say in a way of thanking them back, rewarding them for their support, the Spaniards uh, sort of like protected the status, especially of the Chimu authorities, the Chimu Capacs, the Chimu leaders. So that's the way how the Spaniards retributed the support of the indigenous, not just here, also in different parts of the Hispanic Americas. So, for example, in the city of Trujillo, well, this is a recreation of how the city of Trujillo looked like in the colonial days. Um, so, in that location, existed already in the time of the arrival of the conquistadors a very important city known as Chan Chan. Chan Chan. And Chan Chan, which I think from the previous event I show you a picture, but just for a purpose of giving you a fuller understanding. Remember that if you want to learn more about Chan Chan, it is in my previous video also. So Chan Chan, this gigantic city that was the capital of the Chimu leaders, the Chimu nobility, Chan Chan was not touched by the Spaniards, was not destroyed. It was preserved by the desire of the Spaniards also, and as an intention of being like with coming in good intentions, to the Chimus who were their allies. But what the Spaniards did was building a city for the Spaniards not too far away from there. Mm-hmm. And that's how, well, the city of Trujillo, well, found its location not so far away. We're talking about 10, 15 kilometers away, more or less, from this location, is the zone where the city was initially built. Okay, so by the way, Chan Chan is a very important archaeological site, and is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So, well, there we have it. Okay, so and well, some other highlights about Trujillo. So Trujillo, it was officially created on March the 5th, 1535. So like a couple of months after the founding, less than 2 months after the founding of Lima, of my city, the capital of Peru, in the hands of conquistadors. But there is always like a little like feeling of the Trujillano people of Trujillo, that they really repelled that foundation, official foundation date, because they say that, well, the Spaniards actually came to Trujillo before that date, actually before they went to Lima, and that Trujillo in age is older than Lima. We're talking about the Spanish foundations of cities. No, you know that, well, Trujillo, as most of the cities in Peru, had pre-Hispanic societies that, well, date back to thousands of years. No, but according to, well, we're talking about the Spanish foundation. So the Trujillanos, they say that Trujillo is older in foundation, and they are not wrong exactly. Let's say they are not precisely wrong, but let's understand a bit of what caused this confusion. So before the official foundation of the city of Trujillo, a group of Spaniards in this process of, like spreading over the territory, moving here and there, the Spaniards were trying to understand the territory, and there were not so many Spaniards. By the day, they were coming more and more. Initially, just 168 Spaniards came to begin with the conquest of and defeating of the Incan Empire. So a group of Spaniards went to Trujillo, led by a very close man to Conquistador Pizarro. Actually, his second will be, in importance, Diego de Almagro. They were very close friends, and eventually they were enemies. later in the story. But in this time, they were still colleagues. And Diego de Almagro came to Trujillo and he built a little town. So he established a little town there of Spaniards. We're talking about like the year 1534. And well, he also like left some people there. No? It was not just that they put like a stone, a foundational stone. No? They left also, the Spaniards left a group of people, men men in this location, and they continued their march. But what happens is that according to the rules in that time established by the monarchy, the Spanish monarchy, for the foundation, the proper foundation of cities in the New World, you need to have like at least some basic, let's say, like there were some basic rules or requirements. That's the word I was trying to find. Requirements to be able to found cities. Okay, so and two very important were not there at that time. Okay, so first of all, even though a good friend of Pizarro, very important man, was there at the time of the founding, the first founding of Trujillo, the only person that had the authority in those days, in that early time of our history, to create cities was the conquistador Pizarro, Francisco Pizarro. Okay, so that's one reason, because it was not Pizarro the one building the city of Trujillo, but Trujillo could be formed as a little town, but not as a city. No? And also the other very important requirement was that at least 30 neighbors, 30 Spanish neighbors should be present in the moment of the foundation of a city. Mm? Something that, well, was not met in that moment, because so far I know there were about 8 neighbors or 8 Spaniards taking part of the foundation of that initial town. Okay, so well, that's one of the interesting stories about this location, and also just to give you an idea, you know, how what was this process in the colonial times to create cities, to found cities. No, so Trujillo had walls. And here you can see an image of a recreation of how the walls of Trujillo look like. Trujillo needed to be protected because it was a very important and very rich city, a city that was, well, halfway between, for example, the northernmost territories, the Spaniards, say, like sort of like a control, like Panama, for example, and Lima, in this case, Lima, the capital of nowadays Peru. So Trujillo was a good, like, in-between location for trade, for commerce. And that also made locations like Trujillo, for example, and even Lima, desired places for piracy. Pirates came also to the Pacific and tried to steal all the goods that back then were belonged to the king, like gold, silver, or different other precious things taken from this territory to, well, Spain. And, well, the pirates also came to this direction. So that's why the walls were necessary. But the walls of the city of Trujillo were not really very well planned. They were not, like, if we really needed them, like, for defending the city, something that didn't happen. It was more like for dissuasive reasons, like for let's say, scare away people, instead of really like to protect the city, because it was not well planned. It didn't have a mud. It was made from bricks of mud bricks. So maybe with a bit of water, you could open one of those walls. And well, this was just like a desperate like way to respond to this problem of the attacks of pirates along the coast. And, well, these walls of Trujillo existed since the year, well, the ending of the installation of the walls happened in the year 1690. and it continued with us until the end of the 19th century. So for about 200 years, it almost coincides with the time of the existence, the length of existence of the walls of Lima. Nowadays, by the way, in the location of the walls, there is an avenue that is named España, Spain. So we have also some other pictures. And sorry, I didn't see the chat, but I see there's some action in the chat. Thanks for also using it, and I love also to read your questions if you have any. Don't be shy with those. So well, here we can see the main square of Trujillo. Oh, by the way, before I forget, if for any reason you don't see the images, sometimes I don't know why YouTube disconnects my images, even though I see them projected, but somehow um, my audience cannot see the images. If you not see images projected, let me know so I can refresh and go back and try to project them. See? So, well, this is the main square of Trujillo. So the name of Trujillo comes from Conquistador Pizarro. Gracias, Natalie. So Conquistador Pizarro was born in Spain, in Trujillo, actually. Trujillo de Extremadura. Extremadura is a region, it's a zone, a part of Spain. And well, the city he was born in is Trujillo, which I hope one day being able to see, to visit. Spain in general, I think that we have so much like of like that connects us, Peru and Spain. And when Pizarro came, he probably felt that the climate and maybe the appearance of this location uh, recalled him home. Or maybe he was missing home too much, and that's why he decided to call this city, Trujillo. Trujillo of Peru. This main square is so colorful among many different um, main squares that you can see in Peru. Some of them are more like like neoclassic. They feel neoclassic. For example, my opinion, my impression is the one of Arequipa. It feels neoclassic, maybe because of just one full side of the main square has this incredibly beautiful cathedral in white color and the arches around. Some of them also take you into more an Andean pre-Hispanic mood, like the main square of Cusco, the main square of Lima with the predominant yellow colors, and the gray building of the government palace. I think you feel it very scenorial. You feel it like majestic in a way. And Trujillo's main square is so colorful. It has so much, brightness. It's like a rainbow. And also another curiosity is that instead of having a traditional fountain like most cities will have, this fountain, which is actually a fountain, it doesn't look as much as a fountain because it is more like a monument. No, this is like a big monument piece in the center of the square that breaks completely with the colonial influence. And well, the monument you see there is dedicated to the liberty. And why the liberty is so important here? Because the liberty or the independence of Peru was proclaimed first in Trujillo before was proclaimed in the capital here in Lima. And the reason was, well, a campaign that started really out of Peru, because the liberator of Peru was an Argentinian, Jose de San Martin, who had also very good connections with many different authorities in Latin America, pro independentist people, some of them actually very rich and coming from noble families. but that wanted really to embrace the independence. They wanted to cut with the Spanish connections they even had, and these people also had novel titles, and they had their lives fixed. But they really thought that the independence was the way. That was the good way for the nation they loved. They were born in, and they were not feeling Spanish. They were feeling Peruvian at that point of our history. So, and well, that relation this Argentinian hero had with a Peruvian Marquis of Torretagle, well, made him also, and their exchange was by letters, via letters. So Marquis of Torretagle wanted to promote also the spirit of independence in Peru. And knowing that in Lima, well, Lima couldn't be the first place because Lima was way too royalist. He decided to take part of this, let's say, movement that was already existing in Latin America, and he proclaimed the independence before here. So the monument honors, of course, the independence, and is from the year 1929. It was made by a German sculptor. So, well, you see also this church in the back, well, in the center of the picture actually, and that is the cathedral, which in the next one you will be able to see also in detail. And hello to my friends who are joining. Hola, Sandy. Oh, hola, hola. Thanks for being here. So, well, these events are more like opportunities to learn about history. The pictures are good excuses to take you to different moments and chapters of the history of Peru, most of them unknown. So, well, here you can see the Cathedral of Trujillo, which inside looks very modern, or what can I say about it? It's more sober, it's less baroque in comparison to other churches, even from the same period of the history of construction of this church. For example, this church, which took 19 years to be finished. 19 years to be finished, finished in the year 1666. Also suffer of several earthquakes, terrible earthquakes. And that's the reason why internally most of the churches, especially of the coast of Peru, don't have, well, the beauty that once they used to, or the gold, the altars that once they home. So, and also from here we have the chance of seeing the one side of the streets, the four streets that go around the main square of Trujillo. And one characteristic that also comes in this moment to my mind to share with you all is that for Trujillo, a very interesting layout was created, or basically a distribution of the streets. So you can see that, well, the block, well, for example, in this side, you can clearly see that there are three buildings. So the first one is the cathedral. Then there is a central house with white and light blue facade. And then there's another building, another residence that is yellow and brown. Okay, so each block or each front of a block was divided in three buildings or properties. That was the rule in Trujillo. So, well, this was a good way for distributing well, the properties, and as well also in Lima. Originally in Lima, it used to be like that, but later the time passed, and the city of Lima became so crowded, and it was necessary subdividing and subdividing and subdividing. So, well, we don't see that anymore. But in Trujillo, we still can see it around the main square. Oh, so Sandy. Oh, gracias. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Sandy. Thanks for giving me an opportunity to show you a bit of my country. And well, there is so much to share also about Peru. So at the end also, I'll share with you all well, some of the ideas I have for upcoming events after we finish with this series, because this series we are in let's say chapter 5 of a series dedicated to different destinations in Peru. We are in the fifth chapter, and each one has been subdivided. This one, for example, in 4 parts. Next time we will be talking about Puno. So, and when we finish, because the next and last chapter after Puno is the jungle of Peru, Iquitos, and all the beautiful cities, well, I will need you to help me to build up more events for you all. So, well, the list is long. Please await for the end. So, well, the architecture in Trujillo also has elements that you don't see much in other cities, especially churches. For example, in Lima, we are very used to churches with bell towers. That sometimes are also very, very big, very tall, very high. Maybe not extremely tall if you compare them to other churches in other parts of the world. And the reason is because of the earthquakes. The earthquakes don't really help us much in trying to be, let's say, creative and build higher. So here we have an interesting alternative that the people of Trujillo found to make, say, like bell towers that were efficient, not so expensive also, and that somehow could resist good earthquakes, or in a better way, that will be more lighter in a way to resist earthquakes. So we have these elements called espadañas. Espadañas. So espadaña comes from the word espada or sword. Is a type of construction that instead of using bell towers, it just uses like a wall or an extension of one of the walls of where the bell tower should be. And you can see that, well, it's beautifully decorated like arches. And from those arches hang the bells. So there is no bell tower to climb if you want to, let's say, like ring the bell. It's done from another point from within the church. So on the left, the Church of La Merced, which needs restoration also, so far I've been informed recently, and the Church of the Society of Jesus, or the Jesuit Church, on the right-hand side. And here, uh, this is really the main characteristic of Trujillo as a city. Like, for example, what is the main element associated with Paris is the Eiffel Tower. With New York is Liberty Statue. Here in Peru, our cities also have elements that are like, we recognize them to be like 100% from that city. And an element that is associated to Trujillo are those like beautiful gated windows that you see. There's a couple there in each one of these pictures. For example, on the left-hand side, you can see this house in blue and white, like impeccable. And there is, and in the corner on the right, this quite big actually, because it has the size of a full door, a window with a gate. And the gate has two additional elements. One is on the bottom, and another one on the top, which are elements that never are excluded from those windows. Also, you see in the other picture the same element of those balcones trujillanos. The blues also, yes, Andy. So the balcones trujillanos are, well, an element that, well, because it always comes in white, with the colors you put it behind. Of course, they always like they take, I don't know, like a like the main role. Oh, they are like spotted immediately, no, with the spotlight. And the blues in Trujillo, with that also blue sky behind. Well, it's really impressive. No? The sky in Trujillo tends to be always blue. You might be wondering, Vanessa, you're crazy. Every city has blue sky. Not Lima. My city has just 6 months or half a year of blue sky. We have higher humidity. It's not for pollution. It's the way it has always been, and that's related with the Humboldt current and the proximity of the Andes to the coast. But Trujillo has a climate that is near perfection. Um, Trujillo is known as the city of the eternal spring, the eternal spring. So, well, the architecture also reflects the excellent climate, the excellent weather the city has. So, well, also some curiosities about the architecture besides this Trujillano balconies, that you see there. So, the asymmetry of the façadas. Sorry, the façadas, they don't have like a symmetry that, for example, we would be more used to. No, for example, let's take the picture on the right. Look at the entrance, the decoration on top of the door is even bigger than the door itself. Mm? But originally, the decoration on top was the same height of the door. So, where is the rest of the door? Is under the asphalt. So the city also grew in height. The original level of the floor, maybe cobble uh, stones, were the original asphalt of the city back then, is several centimeters deep in the ground. So that's why the door looks so petite, so small, so strange. And also, we have other examples of architecture of balconies from Trujillo. And also important for you to know and to understand, because all of these different balconies, they come from, well, Spain. No? Or basically, they are adaptations of the Spanish architecture that was imported. Because of course the people who live here and who built these cities were Spanish or their descendants. They were what we call criollos. Criollos were the children of the Spaniards but born in the Americas. That's the way how we understand that word, criollo. So those criollos, those creoles, were living their best lives here in the Americas, and of course, they couldn't live in Europe because they had businesses here, but they wanted to live that lifestyle of Europe. So that's why they copy the European style. But that style, little by little, started to evolve to meet our own necessities or our own, let's say, like beauty standards. For example, we have three different types of balconies, additional to the Trujillano one, which is also in the top picture on the right-hand side. You can see the Trujillano balcony. Okay, so we can understand that one clearly and identify it clearly, right? With its central part that is like a gate, it's always on the first floor, right? Central part that is gated, also a bottom part, very beautiful, pointy, and a top part also very pointy, that is known as sombrero. Sombrero means hat. Okay, so three parts in that balcony. But let's put that one on one side and let's focus in other three types of balconies you can see in Trujillo and also you can see in Lima. So the first one is this enclosed balcony, like a box, that is in that same picture I show you, the Trujillano balcony, in the one on the top right-hand side, from which, well, if we are in the exterior, we don't see anything happening inside. Everything that is happening inside that balcony is kept secret, is kept private. Why? Well, this is the type of balcony that actually came from Spain initially. And when the Spanish came to the Americas, they they just ended about 700 years plus of wars with the Muslims in the Iberian Peninsula. There were Muslims actually that were born for generations in the Iberian Peninsula, in Spain and Portugal. And well, at the time, the Spaniards finally reconquered those territories that were ruled by those Muslims. Many of those Muslims stay because they didn't know where else to go. They were not foreigners anymore. They were from that land more than 700 years. No? But the Muslim people, they had their own traditions, religion, and their women were not allowed to go out of their homes without covering their faces. Okay, so the affairs of the house were kept inside. The beauty of the women kept inside. But if you wanted to see what's happening in the street, you need a window, right? You need to see, what's happening out there. So those balconies allowed women inside the house to see what happened in the exterior, because even though it doesn't look like that, those balconies, they have windows with gates, but they are so tight, the gates, that if you are inside, you just get closer to one of those little holes, you can see clearly everything outside, but from the outside you cannot be seen. Mm-hmm. This was the ultimate technology of the medieval times, of Muslims, to preserve, of course, their sanctuaries, which were their homes, and the beauty of the women. So the Spaniards introduced this uh, architecture, this decoration, because they found it very beautiful and because it was there for hundreds of years already. No, they didn't dissociate that. They dissociate that from the religion part. And those balconies then mutated and changed into, well, these other versions of balconies. On the picture on the top, we still on the left, that are more like open, right? So you see what's happening inside, right? There's no necessity anymore of hiding people behind the gates. And well, the gates were related with privacy, so many families continue using them for that purpose. And well, eventually some families just removed that part and modernized their balconies. And we have other balconies which are on the bottom picture, not the one in the corner, actually the ones that are like windows basically, but they have a little sort of like we call it veranda, which is a railing, I think you call it, that goes to the level of the waist. So you can open the windows, right? And well, you can be seen actually in full because it's just a little railing like under your let's say belly button, no? So those are the three type of balconies you can see in Trujillo. And this is another balcony of that time, that colonial style balcony. Notice also that like below the section, we're talking about the green balcony, right? Below the section where those windows, gated windows are, by the way, the gated windows are named celosías. Celosías. Why? Celosías come from the word celos, which means jealousy. Celos. So the celosías are related also with the of jealousy of the men. And the desire of protecting their women. So below there is also another gated section that was used by the children to see outside from that lower section. And also this fasada, the house name is Ganosa Chopitea, is a house from the 18th century, is all covered with frescoes. That's the way also how many of the houses of, well, colonial Peru in the coast and even in the Andes also looked at the entrance, like pretty much like what you will expect to see in a church. Um, and well, let's continue also with other elements, cultural elements associated with the culture of Trujillo, with Trujillano people, and folklore basically that they take with big pride as theirs, and that shows also that we are a melting pot. So, well, first I would like to tell you a bit about the marinera. Marinera is the dance you see in the picture on the top. Okay, so the marinera is a dance that, well, the specialists, the folklorists that have been able to understand its origin, find the origin in a, let's say, a perversion or a, let's say, adaptation of the European dances. The Spaniards here in Peru, but danced in their ceremonies and celebrations, like, for example, like the minuet or the fandango. The fandango is another musical rhythm from that period in history. It was from Spain. Also, those were saloon dances, or dances for, like, important events. Just few people really knew how to dance those. And you needed big space to dance them, because they were also danced in group. So a lot of ceremony around those dances and parties. So, well, the locals, the Peruvians, and who were those Peruvians? Who were those people who were like seeing maybe behind the doors or behind windows those fancy parties? Were the indigenous, and were the blacks, the Afro Peruvians, who were the servants and the slaves of these people. So they were the ones who were like seeing these dances behind doors, behind curtains. And, well, they started to replicate those fancy dances, but in a more, let's say, like, I don't know, like a lively way. So, and the Afros also take a very important role in the creation of many of our Peruvian dances. Marinera, for example. See, let's say the ancestor of Marinera dance is the Samacueca. And the Samacueca, which is dance women with a sort of like a piece of fabric, white fabric. Well, it's a really, really nice, sexy also dance that uses a lot of contorting of the hips and seduction also. It's a couple seducing themselves. So this Samacueca is the birth, or sorry, the origin, or the ancestor of the marinera. So how we ended up calling this dance marinera? Well, Samacueca, it became so popular, this Afro indigenous as well, because indigenous dance to music or dance basically, it was so popular and so embraced and so festive that from this part of the country moved in different locations and even reached Chile, okay, the neighbor country. And after the independence, the Samacueca was already famous there. So, so famous that Chileans started to call it Chilena. Chilena. And Peruvians started to feel like very uncomfortable, because how come that song and that music and that folklore is called Chilena if it's Peruvian? So, and also in a time of terrible history, really, of between Chile and Peru, the War of the Pacific, a conflict between two nations, in which we were in the summit, really, of a like of a terrible relation between these two countries. So we are coming back to having good relations, almost really recently, honestly. But we were in the summit, in the peak of the let's say the animosities. So, well, one Peruvian composer decided to rename that folklore as marinera in honor of the fallen heroes from the National Navy, or Marina de Guerra, Marina, which comes from marine also, in honor of the fallen heroes who died during the conflict with Chile. So that's why, since then, ending of the 19th century, we rename this musical rhythm marinera. And Well, you see also in the picture lower and on the left hand side, the Peruvian Paso horse. The Peruvian Paso horse is also another of these very important heritage that we have coming from Spain, but of course a horse that was fully adapted into our lands, into our soil, into the temperature, into the hot sand of the desert. The Paso horse is a endemic or unique horse from Peru, which actually came or appeared from let's say different types of like mixing of horses, but especially the most important genes of this horse comes from the Berber horse from North Africa, a horse that is actually known for having an excellent let's say pacing. So when you sit in the horse, you don't feel really like riding the horse, like not doing like ta, 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 ta. No, it's like so smooth. You can be hours and hours in the horse without feeling these bumps that normally one feels when is riding. So it's an excellent horse for long distance trips and also dances. And this horse dance the marinera, as you can see in the picture at the end on the right hand side. And the marinera, well, the marinera is a big thing in Trujillo, in the north coast of Peru. The marinera is celebrated especially in summer. So, yes, Ronnie, I love those horses. um, so it is celebrated in summer. On February, we have a very important festival in Trujillo that takes weeks, and it's the festival of Marinera. And everybody's dancing. Everybody's dancing in the streets. There are parades, and we have a big national and now is international as well competition of Marinera. So competitors from all over the world who know about marinera dance, and how they know it, because maybe they are descendants of Peruvians, or because they marry a Peruvian, and they learn about this passion and they became part of it. So they come to Trujillo every year and they compete. And there are people coming really even from Japan. So and Japanese, so that they don't speak Spanish, but they dance marinera. And well, of course, at the end, we find the winner, the couple that is the winner. And there is also, well, marinera in the streets. So, for example, I mentioned already there are parades, and they are, well, these cars adapted to also create let's say interest in this dance, in this celebration. For example, what I love is I picked some of my favorite allegoric cars. On the top, for example, you can see, well, the flowers on the top left hand side, which represents, of course, well, that Trujillo being the city of the eternal spring. Also, we have lots of flowers everywhere there. Also, on the other picture on the right, we can see, well, the Paso horse, the Peruvian Paso horse represented, and also the balcony, the Trujillano balcony. And this allegoric car was from Montreal, or it was a group from Montreal coming to participate also of the contest. On the bottom part, we see on the left-hand side this allegoric car with a big ceramic, a pottery, a recreation of a pottery from the Mochica people, indigenous to this part of the country. Many of the people from Trujillo genetically are descendants of these moches or mochicas. And on the other last picture on the bottom part, you can see a recreation of the archaeological site Chan Chan. So it is like a beautiful fusion and a celebration of all of their different heritage. And for example, last year, so many people went to participate. Sorry, this year, so many people went to participate of this important festival. And at the same time, in the main square of Trujillo, over 5 1,000 people were dancing marinera in the streets. So there you see the statue, the monument in the main square of the Liberty. It's a really important celebration for the Trujillanos. And I think it's about time to talk about our last subject, which is food. And I love talking about food, but I'll try not to take too long to describe these beautiful dishes. I've chosen for you dishes from the 4 departments of the north coast of Peru. So this time we will move a little bit wider, not just about Trujillo. And of course, we're starting with Trujillo, La Libertad department also. Yes, Ron, imagine 5,000 people dancing around you. Wouldn't be incredible? So I hope one day to go and cover also that for you. That would be super fantastic. Here we have my favorite. By the way, this is my favorite. These are my top dishes from each one of these departments. They are regional foods that you can only try there. So, for example, the first one, the soup that you see on the top left is the shambar. It's a soup that traditionally is only eaten on Mondays. So you see shambar in Trujillo only on Monday. And it's a soup that is very, very heavy. It has like 4 different types of meats in it. It has beans. It has also like chili paste in the base of the flavor of the soup, but it's ah and it's like served very, very hot. Nowadays, for example, is very popular that hot pots, for example, Japanese or Chinese hot pots, especially Chinese, are served around the world. So I think this would be a really, really good hot pot Peruvian. Next, we can see also this other very important dish from the north is the seco de cabrito. The meat you see there is lamb, and in the north also is consumed lamb and duck as well, way more than in the center of the country here in Lima. And it's lambs made also like goulash style with a sauce that has lots of greens, green herbs, and it is presented with beans, potato, and rice. So all three in the same plate, and of course the salad is a French salad of onions that also has a little bit of chili and cilantro. Is delicious. And on the bottom also, another of my favorite ceviche de sarandaja. Okay, so what is the special thing about the ceviche of sarandaja? Is a vegetarian ceviche, because instead of fish, you have sarandajas, which are a type of beans. So it's typical, traditional from the North Coast. So we have also from Lambayeque, these are my favorite, you have arroz con pato, rice with duck, and it's green rice, always with its salad, fresh salad of onions, with key lime and a little bit of chili there. So delicious. And the dessert, we cannot skip the dessert, and this time is King Kong. Like that famous character from actually there was a movie very famous that came to Peru in the 1930s, I think it was, that gave name to this dessert. So the reason why this dessert is named King Kong is because when the dessert was invented, and we're talking about the North Coast, the city of Chiclayo in the department of Lambayeque, but the dessert is actually simple but very tasty. No, it's like it's like several crackers. Very, very tasty crackers, sweet, and in between them is layered like a marmalade of pineapple. Another cracker, marmalade of peanut. Or peanut cream, that might be also better, more appropriate way to call it. And then there's another layer of like cracker or cookies, or sweet cookies, and then another level this time of they say like this. How you call it? Even in Spanish, the name is gone. It's like caramel cream, I think you call it caramel cream. So well, and then you put another one also on top of the crackers. So that big dessert was so big, so massive that and because it was the 1930s and King Kong was a popular film, that everybody started to call it the King Kong, because it was big. And that's how well the name well was since then associated with this dessert. So King Kong. Very delicious. And you have another dishes, this time from Piura. We're moving northern now. And from Piura, we have the malarrabia. So the malarrabia basically is like this, well, this dish that is composed with different elements. You see the beans on the bottom, like a creamy beans. You see also the white rice. There is also a stew made from fish with also cooked with tomatoes and onions and also herbs like cilantro and chili as well, cooked with a bit of water in a big pot. And sorry, we make that fish sweat for some time until it's all cooked. And then aside, it is made that sort of like thing that is on top, like orange color. Sorry. And that one is made from a plantain. Also, is plantain, smashed plantain, basically. So that is the malarrabia. This meal is consumed on Easter. Mm? That's why it has fish. And on the other side, we have the seco de chabelo, which has meat in it and also has plantain. Mhm. And well, it's very, very tasty too. Also from Piura, we continue with the green tamales because we have a big diversity of tamales. And we have an ice cream of algarrobina. Algarrobina is like a syrup that comes from a tree, like the maple syrup coming from the maple tree is exactly the same. So it's very, very tasty. We add algarrobina to cocktails, to our cereal, to our juices, and also well to flavor, in this case, an ice cream. And well, my last two are of course from the northernmost department in the coast of Peru, Tumbes, and Tumbes is rich in black clams. So the ceviche of black clams is, oh my God. If you like Peruvian ceviche, and I have to also clarify that Peruvian ceviche is different to Mexican ceviche, is different to Ecuadorian ceviche, Chilean ceviche. Our ceviche is also very famous around the world, but this one is different because it's made from black clams. The onions are chopped not long, like let's say, I think you call it Juliana style. They are little cubes, little cubes, and when you give a bite to that, it's an explosion really of flavor. And always with your sweet potato, there's also corn served, and all of that gives you an umami flavor that takes you to heaven. And if you like soups, sudado de cangrejo. Sudado means sweat, and cangrejo is crab. Also, is a sort of like boiled crab that looks more like a soup. So, well, amigos, amigas, thank you very, very much for being here with me. Thank you so much for your participation, your interest in Peruvian history, your interest in learning more about Peru. Every time you see an event of mine, is about something different, about a different topic. So I hope that you are finding these events and this series attractive. And also, Well, if you have questions, you can always send me a message here on the chat or in the comment section when the video is posted, or when the video is removed because it goes to my Patreon gallery. Also, you can send me their messages, or here you have my email as well. And let me also share with you a couple of things more besides this one. And I have muchas gracias. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you for your participation. And let me to all my friends, to my new friends. So I promise to also ask you, first of all, show you first about the list of the for the upcoming events after we finish with this series. Gracias, Ronnie, gracias, Sandy, Natalie, thank you. Well, these are the upcoming events I'm proposing, but the way to participate in this poll is by going to my Patreon. So in Patreon, I have the poll open to anyone who wants to, let's say, participate or give me a suggestion. So let me just send over here this. So this is my Patreon link. And there you can find, well, this one. I don't know if you still see it. Probably you're not. I'll able to see it again. So let's put it again. So here. Well, we have the possibility. I'm thinking, and this is by a special request from my dear friend Natalie. I'm thinking in adding some Spanish for survival classes also. Some people also were asking about, let's say, well, the mummies, and I, of course, I love talking about mummies in the pre-Hispanic times. Food, you know already. I think you already noticed I love talking about food. Also, a history of Peruvian food and some interesting dishes. Pope Leo the 14th, and you know already that Pope Leo is not just an American pope from the United States, he's also Peruvian. And if you didn't know that, you need to also select this one, because I'll tell you everything about his connections with Peru. Well, hidden Lima and the districts that tourists never see. Hola Lili, ¿cómo estás, amiga? Thanks for being here. Oh, what a pleasure to have you, amiga. No, thank you, thank you. And it's always a pleasure to have a Lily, who he's actually a person from Travelution Tours, and she does amazing tours about history. She's a historian, by the way. Also, she knows very well European history, and well, please follow her. And we have here also another option, Rhythms of Peru. And well, now please help me choosing in my Patreon. You don't need to subscribe to be part of this poll. Just get in. But if you would like to support my project with a little donation, you can become my Patreon, starting from $2 per month, 5, 10, and 20. Any donation is highly appreciated. You become a subscriber, a monthly subscriber, and you can see also, you have the chance of seeing all my recorded events and the future ones also that are here available on YouTube for a short time, for let's say the rest of the day, but then after they are saved in my library there on Patreon. So don't forget to follow, if you love doing this type of events and virtual tours. I have many good friends doing these events all over the world every day. Did you know there are tour guides and professionals in history and archaeology streaming live every day? And most of the times they do it tip supported. So here I'm sharing with you on the chat some links to different Facebook groups that I support because, well, I'm active in those groups, or my friends also are doing events in those Facebook groups, or advertise their in their group, in those groups, their events. So there are 4 groups that I know that are excellent. So this is the last one. Just give me a second. This is just in case you want to use the chat to go directly or save these Facebook groups. Muy bien, amigos. Well, I think we came to the end. Oh, thank you so much. Big hugs to you all. And also see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we continue with this series. We will talk about Puno. We'll travel to the South Andes, to Titicaca Lake, and we will talk about, well, that beautiful part of Peru. Thank you so much to all my friends who were here today. It really means the world to me. And see you tomorrow or see you soon. Gracias. Chao, chao. Gracias, gracias. Thank you, amigos. Gracias, Lili. Gracias, querida. Bye, bye.